My name is Joshua, and I am the Tribune. Okay, so this video really should be partnered with my other video about the strategy of extra. Because in this video, I'm going to explain why it's important that you cannot do the strategy of extra without checking in with God. And the reason for that is because He actually delegates where we put our energy. He wants to have input on exactly how much energy to put into each thing that He wants to prepare and do in our lives. Now, it's very important to check in with Him on these things because He has complete wisdom on how much energy needs to go into what and when you need to rest. In fact, He actually will schedule rest periods for you that He doesn't ask you if you want them or anything. He will just schedule them for you. That will be another message. But in this message, we're going to talk about how to not waste energy and what God thinks about energy. So if you don't check in with God and you have this strategy of extra spirit and you just think you're getting attacked, so you're just going to just go do extra in something, well, God could be very displeased because you don't know what to do extra in. And really, the point of doing extra in something He's asking for is not doing extra. It's in order to accomplish and be more in tune with what your mission is in that moment to get it completed. Because really there is no doing extra with God. You do what He asks you to do, and you do it with the amount of energy He has allotted to that particular thing. So, something about God is He hates wasted energy. It's something that He will actually train you to understand how much energy to put into what, and He will show you what are the things that you are actually wasting energy in. And He'll show you the people who are wasting your energy. And He'll show you how you actually are wasting your own energy with things you think are good. These are all different areas that we need to pay attention to with wasted energy. Now, before we go into those things, we need to talk about why God specifically likes to manage our energy. It's because His things are so amazing and so powerful and have so much weight to them that if we're not managing our energy, we will burn out on something very small for Him. Something so wonderful for us is just maybe a tiny fraction of the things that we need to prepare. And if we get too excited and just burn everything out and put 100% on everything just because we just want to, because we're excited, then we'll burn out and we won't be able to complete our preparation. And we won't be able to hear God because He won't move forward on that preparation or even those instructions because we didn't finish the last thing. Not because we were necessarily disobedient, didn't want to do it, didn't do it right. It's because we put too much energy into that thing. We didn't check in with Him on how much energy we were supposed to allot to that thing. A good analogy of this is if God came up to you and said, I have a commission for you. This commission is, I have this giant palace that I would like you to build. This is what we're doing. We will be building a palace. Now, it would be very, very crazy for you to go out now and start making bricks in your backyard. You just now have just started a brick factory and you're by yourself. You were just there. You're actually packing them together brick by brick. You were so excited. You get all this stuff and you're actually you're doing everything that they need to do to make bricks. You are working all by yourself and God is sitting back saying, why are you making bricks? I didn't ask you to make bricks. I actually wanted you to go get a pencil. I wanted you to go down to the craft store, get a pencil and paper, and then come back and talk to me. But you thought that you were supposed to spend night and day making bricks in your backyard to get ready for this wonderful palace we're about to build. That would be really insane. And this is why we need to make sure we ask God before we just move on something He's saying. Because that energy now is wasted. All the energy that you were supposed to use to drive down to the craft store, get some pencil and paper, and meet Him back there at 9 p.m. for your first art session, okay, to draw the building in pencil. You wasted that energy stomping bricks and packing them together, and you really only made 5 bricks in the whole day because you didn't even know how to make bricks. You just thought that God was going to cover you and you were going to run out and God to give me anointing to just, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm just going to go out and make some bricks. And God will just cover me and do it because he said we're making a palace. No, that is so crazy. But this is what we do every day. This is what people do all the time. You see this all over the place. So God will actually tell you where to place that energy. Maybe for one thing, he'll ask you to put 20% of your energy into that thing, and he orders that. But then if you go past 20%, you're now being disobedient. You didn't check in with him. This is a good thing he ordered that you're putting extra energy into, that now you're in disobedience. And you could have good intentions. But the thing is, once you go to 25%, 30% of your energy into something that is good that he ordered, when he only wanted 20%, now that 80% that was saved for something very important for that day, you have squandered it on something that he didn't want you to do. Now you go to God and wonder, why is this not working for me? How come now I can't finish this? How come now I'm so tired I'm falling asleep? I'm actually falling asleep and I can't finish it and I feel like I should. And he's like, yeah, you should finish it. But the thing is, you wasted 50% of your energy doing something that I only wanted you to spend 20% on. This is how you get to learn God's character, because you start learning that you really don't know how to prepare things. He can give you something so amazing that you think you know how to do it, but you really need his instructions. And that's the difference between Satan's children and God's children. Satan's children, they just go manage their own energy. They just go do whatever they want to do. They burn out, have stress attacks, do all these kind of things. They just fall out. And sometimes they're successful, but in things that they don't need to even think about managing their energy with. Now, I do understand that, yes, a non-believer can learn how to manage their energy and be successful at that. But the question is, what are they really building? I'm talking about God's things. A non-believer who does not have Jesus Christ as their personal Savior and have a relationship with the Holy Spirit and they're getting direction from the Father cannot manage their energy in building God's stuff. You just can't. It's very impossible to do that because you need divine wisdom to know how much to put into what. In fact, he will ask you to put amounts of energy into certain parts of your preparation and your blueprints with him that will actually frustrate what you think should be done. Because you don't know the next step. You don't know what he's saving. He doesn't tell you, oh, I want you to spend 20% here so that you can spend 80 on this thing. No, he doesn't do that. That would be easy. You wouldn't even need a relationship. You would just have to just listen and just be a robot after that. No. You have to listen to him every step. You spend 50% energy here, then you spend 20% energy here, and then after that, you check in with the 30% that's remaining. And you say, God, what do you want me to do with this 30% that you have left over for me? I can feel it. He goes, nothing. I want you to rest. Because tomorrow, you're going to need 130%. See, now this is a whole nother level. Because you thought I was talking about from 0 to 100%. No. See, 150% is what he might ask for you. He might ask that some days he has planned that he needs 200%. There are days where he wants 1,000%. So he will let you rest for a week. See, that's what kind of wisdom that you need to build with God. You need to stay in rhythm with him so you know I can feel he's not asking me to do anything right now. I'm going to rest for 2 weeks, because when I come off of this rest, I'm going to give 100,000% for 3 days. For 3 days, I'm going to give 100,000%. Now, in that time period where I'm doing 100,000%, I'm getting done what somebody would take 3 years to get done. Why is that? Because I'm working with God. That's the only way you can have that kind of wisdom and that kind of strategy. Now, in those 2 weeks of rest that he says, I don't want you to use that for anything, people look at you like you're a fool. This is now, we're talking about a booby trap. People will think he's not doing anything. What is he doing? Not realizing that I'm resting for my next sprint, that I will do so much work that regular people couldn't even accomplish in a lifetime. This is priceless wisdom for you. This is a booby trap because it keeps people away. It keeps people who will distract you and waste that energy, that rest time. They'll stay away from you. Because, for example, if I'm trying to rest for 2 weeks, I don't want people around me who are just going to just talk my ear off about foolishness. I don't want drama around me. I don't want any kind of arguments. I don't want foolish discussions. I don't want to talk about nothing. Now, if I'm not in the cave with God and I don't have booby traps surrounding me from these kind of people, then I'm going to get swarmed with foolishness. I'm going to waste my rest time, and then I won't be able to give 100,000% in 2 weeks when I need it. Because every time you talk to people who are drama and are distractions and who take you away from God and what He has for you, you are wasting energy. And He hates wasted energy. Because when we waste energy, we're wasting His power. When you're working with God, He gives you extra power. I'm not talking about this foolish, banal human energy that you are familiar with. Because that's low-level energy. I'm talking about where you can hit 100,000% of energy and channel it into one thing that brings so much power that people would be astounded. That's what I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about God giving you an allotted amount of extra energy that He expects you to, He will account, you need to account for that energy. And squandering it is it's a sin to actually squander that kind of energy. Because He's giving it to you for His purpose. This is why we need to make sure that we understand that God is the only one who can actually allot certain amounts of energy to certain things in our life. This goes with people, relationships, our relationships. If He doesn't want you talking to somebody for 10 years, you need to stop it. If He doesn't want you to talk on the phone with somebody for 5 minutes, you better not. This is crucial. 5 minutes of talking with somebody on the phone that He doesn't want can waste an entire day for you. Because maybe that's a door for the enemy to come in and attack your heart. Now, you have to fix that. You have to fix your heart. That takes energy. So whose energy are you going to use to do that? His energy? He's not going to like that. He won't like it. And then when you're tired later, or you get to that 2 weeks and it's over of rest, and you come and He's like, I need 100,000%. And you're like, I only have 90,000? I gave you 100,000 worth of rest. What happened? Well, I did talk on the phone a few times. Well, now we have to wait till the next window opens up that we can finish this plan then, because now you don't have enough energy. And you can't bulldoze this through. This kind of work you can't bulldoze. Well, I'll finish. Let me tell you, I'm going to talk to these people and finish. No, you're going to burn out and you can't. I don't care how much energy you have, because we're talking about God level things. We're not talking about regular things. We're not talking about just getting up and doing something that everybody does. The reason he gives extra energy is because you're going to have to hear him. Hear what he's telling you to do. And then he's going to ask you to do something where maybe you don't have the actual expertise to do it in your natural self. So you actually operate in divine wisdom, which costs energy, because you have to fight doubt and different things in yourself. Even working with him, you have to, with no enemy, with no Satan. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about you're going to have to fight yourself sometimes to get those things done, because you know you don't have the expertise for that, but they're getting done. This is what the big problem is. That if you waste energy, then you won't realize you need it for things like that. So, with this introduction to energy, God's energy, this should show you that you don't want to waste it. And you need to check in before you start doing extra with him. Even as a warfare strategy, you need to make sure you check in with him before you fight Satan. Because maybe he's going to have you wasting God's energy. Now, if you do this, it's a guarantee you'll have unbelievable success in preparation and execution. And you will be a machine, and people will think, how is this even happening? People will look and be like, how did that happen? How did this come out of this? How did he get that treasure out of this situation? How did that even happen? Who is their God? That's what they need to be asking that. How did that happen? But the secret is becoming friends with God, becoming a Christian, being friends with God, going through the process, learning his character, learning his rhythms, being obedient. That's how you get those things. And then he gives you his energy, and you get to do impossible things, and you get to be like a machine. You'll be way ahead. So that's why the wilderness period doesn't really affect you when you're working with God. By the time, even if you spend 10 years in a wilderness period where everybody else moves on, by the time you come out, you'll be 50 years ahead. You'll be 50 years ahead of the people who you thought were ahead of you. You'll be 50 years ahead of them. And young. That's another thing. And not 80 years old. That's the trick. That's the mystery. And you get that from using God's energy and not squandering it. It's so powerful. So, I hope this encourages you. I hope this gives you direction. Somebody's out there who's trying to build and trying to figure this thing out. Find God's energy. Be obedient. And know he values it. Don't waste his energy. It's very important. Keep building. Whoever you are, I'm proud of you. You need to keep building. You're one of the generals. Hail Jehovah.